Have you ever noticed something painful? You give advice because you care. You speak because you want to help. And yet, no one listens. Not your partner, not your coworker, not even your own child. At first, you feel confused, then frustrated. Eventually, you feel invisible. This is not a small emotional inconvenience. This is one of the quiet psychological stresses of modern life. Today, we're going to talk about why people ignore your advice, even when it is good advice. And more importantly, what ancient Eastern wisdom, especially the Bodhisattva path, teaches us about speaking so others truly listen. In modern society, advice is everywhere. Books, podcasts, therapists, social media threads. Everyone is talking. Few are being heard. Psychologists consistently note that feeling unheard is strongly linked to stress, resentment, and emotional withdrawal. When people feel ignored repeatedly, they either become aggressive or emotionally numb. Neither state leads to healthy relationships. This shows up in daily life in subtle ways. A parent gives advice, and the child rolls their eyes. A manager explains a solution, and the team disengages. A friend shares concern, and the conversation quietly dies. The crisis is not a lack of intelligence. It is a breakdown of connection. Most people assume this simple equation. If my advice is correct, people should listen. But human psychology does not work that way. Neuroscience and behavioral psychology both show that when people feel judged, controlled, or corrected, the brain shifts into a defensive state. The prefrontal cortex becomes less active. Emotional reactivity increases. In other words, the more you try to be right, the less people can hear you. This is where many well-intentioned people get stuck. They speak with urgency, they repeat themselves, they push harder, and paradoxically, they are listened to even less. In Mahayana Buddhism, a bodhisattva is someone who commits to helping others awaken, not by force, but by compassion and insight. One well-known Buddhist text, the Vimalakirti Sutra, emphasizes that wisdom without compassion becomes arrogance, and compassion without wisdom becomes confusion. The bodhisattva does not rush to correct. The bodhisattva first seeks to understand. This is not passivity. It is strategic patience. Here is a hard truth. Many times, advice is not about helping. It is about relieving our own discomfort. We feel anxious watching someone make a mistake. We feel responsible for their outcome. We want to feel useful, competent, or morally right. So we speak. But beneath the words, there is pressure. People sense this immediately. Ancient Taoist philosophy speaks directly to this problem. In the Tao Te Ching, Laozi writes that forcing things leads to resistance, while alignment allows things to unfold naturally. When advice carries the energy of control, people resist even if the advice itself is sound. So here's the real question. What if people are not ignoring your advice because it is wrong, but because it arrives at the wrong moment, from the wrong place, with the wrong energy? And what if the most powerful way to be heard is to stop trying to be listened to? Stay with me. One of the most overlooked teachings in Eastern wisdom is the value of presence. Thích Nhất Hạnh, a Vietnamese Zen master known internationally for his work on mindfulness and peace, often emphasized deep listening. He taught that listening without judgment can relieve suffering more effectively than advice. This aligns with modern psychology. When people feel emotionally safe, They become more open to influence. Safety comes before logic. The Bodhisattva way is to create space, not to fill it. Instead of saying, "You should do this," the Bodhisattva energy says, "I am here with you." Silence is deeply uncomfortable in modern Western culture. We equate silence with weakness or lack of contribution. Eastern traditions see silence differently. In Zen practice, silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. When you pause instead of advising, something unexpected happens. The other person begins to reflect. They hear themselves. Often, they reach the insight on their own. An advice that feels self-discovered is far more powerful than advice imposed. Here's where many people misunderstand compassion. Compassion does not mean fixing. It does not mean saving. It does not mean taking responsibility for someone else's choices. The Bodhisattva ideal includes compassion without attachment to outcomes. This is critical. When you let go of the need to be effective, your presence becomes effective. When you stop needing validation, your words gain weight. This does not mean you never give advice. It means you wait. You listen longer than feels comfortable. You ask instead of instructing. You speak when invited, not when anxious. You replace urgency with sincerity. Over time, something shifts. People begin to ask for your thoughts. Your words land differently. Trust grows. If you have ever felt ignored while trying to help, there is nothing wrong with you. You are experiencing a very human struggle. Eastern wisdom reminds us that influence is not forced, it is cultivated. If this perspective resonated with you, take a moment to reflect before speaking today. And if you want to explore more ways ancient wisdom helps modern stress, subscribe to this channel. Wisdom meets productivity, not by pushing harder, but by understanding deeper.